wonderful episode on the Mindful Living podcast. Now, today's conversation, it's about change, but then it's more about how we can mindfully embrace those changes. Because you know what? Change is constant, change is inevitable. Whether it's our professional lives or our personal lives, our health, our mental health, our spiritual health, change is constant. And sometimes change feels like a slow tide creeping in until we barely notice the shoreline shifting. Other times, it kind of crashes over us, like a tsunami, like a warning, leaving us gasping for air and searching for something, anything to hold on to. Navigating those moments, they aren't it isn't about pretending the water is calm, but about finding those tools, anchors, and inner strength that keeps us steady while we learn to swim in a new current. Listeners, today I'm joined by Laura Bratton, a woman who knows this truth intimately. Diagnosed with an eye disease at 9 and facing the reality of eventual blindness, she spent the next decade adjusting to life without sight. Through grit, gratitude, and a refusal to let circumstance define her, she has built a life of purpose, founding UB Global, writing her book Harnessing Courage, and empowering people across the world to rise through change. So, we are going to talk about mindful living, especially the resources that can guide us when the ground shifts beneath our feet. So, whether you are facing a personal upheaval, professional transitions, layoff, or the kind of changes you never ever saw coming. This conversation will help you find your footing. And Laura, welcome to the show. And I'm extremely honored to have you here with us.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity and thank you for creating this platform because we all need it as we navigate through change.
Totally, totally. And these are the times, I mean, so much uncertainty is there everywhere, Laura. And I believe if even one person gets uh, hope after listening to this conversation to embrace changes in their life while holding themselves, facing the tides with grit and resilience, I think our job is done almost. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so Laura, I think when someone is in the middle of change, I mean, I have gone through those moments, when everything around me is changing. My personal life has changed. I got laid off. It felt like everything came crashing down. And the noise in my head, it was so overwhelming that I had to sleep on with it just to avoid that noise.
Yes.
I could feel the physical changes in my body, my breath. I I used to I'd breathe faster, and then I didn't feel like eating anything. I couldn't even tell my family about facing these changes. So in such situation, what's the very first mindful living resource you would recommend? Um, someone who is going through these changes, they can reach to ground themselves.
The first advice I always give is acknowledge the difficulty of the change. And the reason I say that, that sounds counterintuitive, like it wouldn't help us. But what I found in my own life experience and in working with others, our immediate reaction is, I can't eat, I can't sleep. So let me figure out how to solve this. We jump instantly into trying to fix. What I found again in myself and others I work with, the deep healing comes when we acknowledge I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't breathe because I'm going through a really, really, really hard time. So there is such healing power and such empowerment when we can just acknowledge, yes, we are in a difficult time of change. This is not the change we wanted. It's certainly not the change We asked for, expected, yet it is what it is. So if we can just acknowledge this is painful, this is hard, this is challenging, that gives us the power to then move forward in our mindset.
Hmm. And it may sound simple, but because I can really understand, because when we face sudden change, our brains are wired like they don't want to accept that. No, 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 everything is
Mm.
fine. Nothing has changed.
Right.
Everything is fine. It's that the fight or flight mode.
Yes, we want to resist,
Yeah.
right? And that's exactly what mine did. Oh, no, I'm not becoming blind. No, this is not permanent.
Yeah.
No, this is not really hard. We absolutely want to resist. And so that's why I found just to acknowledge, yeah, this actually is really, really hard. It takes away that instant reaction of what you said, the fight or flight to resist.
Hmm. That makes sense. And Laura, when I mean, 9 is that is so early. Um, and then what exactly, how was it like for you when you got diagnosed with an eye disease? And then you had to accept that, uh,
Yes.
the reality of blindness. How was it?
Yes. So the gift of being 9 was that as a 9-year-old, I couldn't cognitively process, or
Mm.
I couldn't emotionally process. I could cognitively understand, okay, I will lose my sight in the future. But as a 9-year-old, I couldn't emotionally process what that meant. It
Mm.
wasn't until I was in high school, until I was a teenager, when I started to lose a significant amount of sight. So that's when the resistance started, the denial. Oh, it's not a bad. Oh, it's not going to last that long. And
Mm.
again, just like you said, it was that fight or flight, that resisting, accepting. What I had to realize, it was the gift of mindfulness. It was the gift of the support around me. It was the gift of focusing on breath work that gave me the ability to control what I could control. So I could control receiving support around me. I could control how my breathing was. I could control my mindset when I could not control my vision loss.
Yeah. I really, really love that, because the resources that you pointed to, they aren't only for people with a certain income or background. It's available to all. It's accessible to all, especially the breathing. The breathing, that's what is making us alive. And mindfulness can start with something as simple, as pausing or maybe noticing. But sometimes we often overcomplicate.
Yes, as you said it perfectly. Just the simple fact, it sounds too easy to be true, but just noticing my breath is shallow, or I'm even holding my breath. I would even find myself in those moments of panic, just holding our breath, not even breathing. So just becoming aware of how we're breathing and changing our breathing pattern, it's accessible and we can tap into it regardless of where we are. That's the gift. And also with that breathing is just the body scan, noticing where we holding tension in our body, because change brings so much tension.
True, true. And Laura, you have spent a decade in transition, slowly losing your sight. So, how did you keep showing up for life in that in between space where you weren't who you used to be, but you also weren't fully living as a blind person yet?
It was the gift of the support around me, because as I was in that stage that you described, my mindset was, I can't do this. This is too hard. So it was leaning on and trusting the support around me. Again, and that takes courage, that takes self compassion to say, okay, I'll trust the support around me. I could have fought and resisted that support. Oh, I don't need your help, or I don't believe what you're saying. But because I was in such a difficult mind space,
Mm.
I really didn't have an option but to trust the support. And so that would be my encouragement to everyone in the midst of change. When change is hard, when change is so overwhelming, you can't figure out the future. Trust your support system.
Yeah.
Trust those around you that are believing in you, that are supporting you both, just crying with you, just sitting with you in those difficult emotions, and that support that's also moving you forward. Because again, we want to be in the mindset of, I can do this on my own. I don't need your help. Yet we definitely need the help of those around us.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. Oh, that is inspiring. That is inspiring, Laura. And especially you mentioned about the support of others. I think it is so, so important, not only from a mindfulness perspective, but when, especially for mental health, when we talk about, I think not only individualistically, but uh, if, we have got someone, us, our people who are there for us, I think it's not only a gift, it's like everything. I mean,
Yes. Yes. It is absolutely everything. When we don't believe in ourselves, that others believe in us. It is an incredibly healing resource.
definitely. Um, and now, a bit of a nuanced, perspective here. Now, some would say, and this is with regards to mindfulness during a traumatic change, that leaning heavily on it can feel like putting a positive spin on something that is deeply painful. Did you ever feel like, Laura, that mindfulness was sugarcoating your reality, or maybe you were kind of running away from it?
Thank you for asking that. What I found was that mindfulness gave me the gift of acknowledging exactly what I was feeling. So I was in the place of, I was sugarcoating it. I was, oh, just push on, be positive, move forward. Mindfulness gave me the space to acknowledge I'm really, really sad right now. And that's just exactly how I feel. I'm really, really angry right now. And just to sit with it. So the what mindfulness taught me, which I didn't realize, we can feel our emotions and turn towards them.
Hmm.
So rather than denying how we're feeling, again, it's that resistance you referred to, rather than resisting, I'm not sad. I'm not sad. I'm really not sad. And trying to convince ourselves we're not sad. Mindfulness taught me, yes, I'm sad. And it's okay to sit with that sadness.
Hmm. Oh, I really appreciate your answer here, because I think a lot of people, they would want to know that mindfulness doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It's
Right.
not. But yeah,
Very far from it, right? Mindfulness is hard work because you have to acknowledge how you're feeling.
exactly. Like,
Painful.
yeah. And uh, were there any specific practices that you developed, during those years that you still use today, Laura, and you would like to share with our listeners as well?
For me, the gift of just being out in nature and being mindful of the environment around me was deeply healing. So, an example of what I mean by that, of just taking 2 minutes, 5 minutes, not long, but just a few minutes in the morning to walk outside and just listen to the birds, feel the weather. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it rainy? Just to be mindful and to be present in the outside environment. What it helped me do is focus on something other than my racing thoughts.
Mhm.
So, walking outside and feeling the warmth of the sun, hearing the birds, being with the plants, that helped me get out of my mind and focus on the world still continuing. The sun's still shining, the birds are still singing, even though I'm in this deep, horrible place of change. So, my advice would be find that practice. Maybe it's not nature
Mm-hmm.
for you, but find that practice of, is it just centering quiet silence? I know for a lot of people, just the sitting quiet for 5 minutes. For other people, it's just listening to music for a few minutes,
Yeah.
being with it, just literally petting their pet for a few minutes. Just whatever it is, a simple practice that only takes a few minutes that gets you out of your head.
That is true. That is true. All of them you mentioned. I don't have that privilege of having a pet. That's in my bucket list. But you mentioned about nature. Oh my goodness. I mean, um, uh, enjoying that sunset or the sunrise
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yes.
and of course, rains, for the people outside can be messy, but when you are in your room, you are enjoying the rains or you are listening to the birds chirping in the morning or in the evening. I kind of get so much solace listening to that, hearing to that.
Yes. Yes. It's so comforting.
Hmm. It is. And of course, music. I
Yeah.
try to tell that it's a crutch for me, to be very honest, because it really helps me get laser focused when, there are days when nothing's working for me. I'm completely flustered and frustrated at everything going wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And music is incredibly grounding,
Yep.
just to remind us there's still a world outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
Because typically the mindset that I've experienced and that I've worked with so many other people have also experienced, we're so focused on our change, we forget the rest of the world's out there.
Totally. Totally.
And so that just that music, that nature is just so helpful to ground us in, oh, and the world is continuing.
Absolutely. And we are flooded by content, Laura. I mean,
Yes.
being a podcaster, I would not even shy to tell this, but there's content everywhere. There's a flood of mindfulness advice online.
Yeah.
Some that
Yes.
found it, of course. Some of it, sometimes, kind of, when I also see online, it kind of, really looks very strange and questionable.
Yeah.
How
Yes.
can how can people tell the difference between a credible resource and something that's just, for the sake of being trendy?
So I was in that exact spot and I didn't come to this conclusion on my own.
Mm.
What the advice was given to me, which I've found and has worked, is ask someone that you trust. So, is that a friend that you know that also does mindfulness? Is that a neighbor that you know does mindfulness? Is that a family member, a teacher, a professor? Reach out to someone that you are connected with that you also know practices mindfulness. If it's a therapist, a coach, and that was my situation. When I was working with a therapist and she was mentioning mindfulness, I just said, okay, what resources should I go to first? Because exactly what you said, there's so much out there that's so trendy. I didn't know where to turn. I was so confused and overwhelmed by mindfulness.
Mm.
So, the best advice is just reaching out to someone that you know that the resources they give you is what has helped them get to that place.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a very important point. Very important point. I think it's because sometimes the prettiest looking app or the most followed guru may not the one who will actually walk with you through the hard stuff. I mean, it's your journey, it's you. So you know uh, you don't have to follow anyone or anything.
Right. 100%.
Oh gosh, okay, great, great. Laura, before we begin, sorry, we conclude. If our listeners they would like to connect with you and explore more about the work that you do at UB Global, and also about your beautiful book, Harnessing Courage, what would be the best way?
The best is my website. LauraBratton.com has all the information on my book, speaking, coaching, it's all on my website. So that's the best place.
Beautiful. I'll make sure to have all the links in the show notes so that listeners can easily connect with you. And Laura, I couldn't thank you enough because you're really, really helping us realize that mindful living isn't just about being present or breathing exercise or quiet mornings. It is about how we meet life when it changes without our permission, when things aren't in our control. And your journey, Laura, it really shows that resources aren't just for books or apps. They can be people, practices, even the way we choose to tell our own story. So thank you so much for being our inspiration.
Thank you for the platform.
So to all the listeners, just refer to the show notes along with this episode. And until next time, keep listening to the Mindful Living. This is your host, Sana, signing off. Thank you.